Ladies and gentlemen, good day. Today, our group will discuss about literacy practices. And let's start our discussion by defining what is literacy and literacy practices. So, literacy is the ability to read, write, and communicate. While literacy practices is how people use literacy in real life. So basically, it is both a skill and social practice. For example, texting, writing essays, and even reading posts. And when we hear the word literacy, we usually think about reading and writing, right? However, literacy practices are much more than that. Because actually, literacy practices refers to how people use reading, writing, speaking, and even use technology in our daily lives. So it shows that literacy is not only a skill, but it is also a social practice that can be changed depending on where we are and who we interact with. For instance, the way you write in school is different from the way you text your friends every day. So in short, literacy practices are the real life ways of people use a language to basically communicate and to literally understand other people.
Hello everyone, my name is Catrice Maylabaho Empinado, and in this portion, I will be discussing why do we need to understand literacy practices. Literacy depends on culture, purpose, and community. So, literacy is basically formed and shaped within the community by its purpose and by its culture. Understanding how people engage with reading and writing means seeing these activities as part of social life with specific situations rather than just separated skills. Being literate equips people to communicate well, solve problems effectively, and take fully part within a society. It is also stated here that different groups have different literacy habits. So in each group, they develop their own literacy habits. For example, farmers. Farmers use literacy when they are reading fertilizers, instructions, or keep tracking on their sales. On the other hand, students use literacy when they are taking notes, making some reports or writing some reports, or even chatting with friends online or virtually. Lastly, it is also stated here that it is connected to people's daily activities and beliefs. So in all these situations, literacy has always been linked to people's everyday tasks and activities or their engagement. It is also tied up to people's attitudes and values. So think about it. Some of the people love curling up with a book because they have pleasure or they feel pleasure or happiness when reading it. But others might also read just because they have to. So basically, people have different beliefs and hobbies or their daily activities. So this is why it is important to understand literacy practices, as these practices are the foundational skills in which it enables people to communicate effectively and interpret or understand information in their everyday lives. So that would be all from my part. Thank you so much.
So let's proceed now to the next slide, which is a traditional literacy. Traditional literacy focuses on reading, writing, printed text, involves spelling, grammar, and comprehension. Common in schools and formal education. For example, reading books, writing essays, or exams. So traditional literacy focuses on the basic skills of reading, writing, and understanding text. It is usually taught in schools through lessons on spelling, grammar, and composition. In the past, being literate simply meant that a person could read and write printed materials such as books, letters, and newspapers. Traditional literacy plays an important role in education because it helps us learn other subjects and express our ideas clearly. For example, when students write essays or answer written exams, they are practicing traditional literacy. It is the foundation of all other literacies that came after.
Okay, good day everyone. I am Sandy Nava and I am going to tackle about the digital literacy. So as the world becomes more advanced, literacy now includes digital literacy. So digital literacy means having the ability to use technology, the internet, and digital tools effectively and responsibly. So it includes knowing how to search for information, use online platforms, and evaluate what we read on the internet. So for example, when we use Google to research, create PowerPoint slides, or communicate through Messenger and Gmail, so we are using digital literacy. And it's also about understanding how to stay safe online, such as protecting your personal information and identifying fake news. So digital literacy is now one of the most important skills in both education and employment. So that's all. Thank you.
Media literacy. Understanding and analyzing media messages helps identify fake news versus real news. Teaches critical thinking and responsibility. Example, checking sources before sharing posts. So, what is media literacy means? Media literacy means that the ability to understand, analyze, and evaluate information we receive from media sources, such as television, radio, newspapers, and social media. In today's world, we are surrounded by information, but not all of it is true. That's why media literacy teaches us to be critical thinkers who can tell the difference between facts and fake news. It helps us question what we see and hear instead of believing everything immediately. For example, before sharing a viral post or video, a media literate person checks if the information comes from a trusted source. In short, media literacy helps us become responsible and informed citizens in the digital age.
So, the next is multimodal literacy. So, what is multimodal literacy? It combines text, images, sound, and video. It is used in modern communication and creativity, for example, making TikTok videos, posters, infographics, or for vlogs. It expresses ideas in many different modes. So, in other hand, multimodal literacy refers to the ability to communicate using a combination of different modes such as text, images, sound, and video. In modern communication, messages are not only written, they can also be visual or auditory. For example, making a TikTok video that includes text captions, background music, and facial expressions is a form of multimodal literacy. When students create posters, infographics, or even multimedia presentations, they are using different modes to express meaning. So this type of literacy is important today because it encourages creativity and deeper understanding through multiple ways of expressions.
Importance of literacy practices build knowledge, confidence, and communication. Encourage critical thinking and understanding needed for school, work, and daily life. Literacy improvement and connection. Literacy practices are very important because they help people understand information, express ideas, and connect with others. They also develop critical thinking, which allow us to analyze and make good decisions in life. Through literacy, people can practice and participate actively and adapt to change in society. So literacy practices are not just about knowledge, and they are about improvement and participation.
Good day. Today I'll be talking about literacy practices in daily life. Firstly, we have literacy happens everywhere, not only in school. We use literacy every single day, even without noticing it. Singly, we have reading messages, writing notes, watching tutorials. For example, when we read text messages, write captions, watch tutorial videos, or comment online, those are literacy practices. So next we have use at home, work, and social media. When parents help their children with homework, when workers read job instructions, or when someone writes a shopping list, they are using literacy in real situation. So literacy happens everywhere, at home, in school, in the market, and on the internet. These everyday practices show that literacy is part of identity and social life. And lastly, connects people through social and stories. It connects people by allowing us to share stories, ideas, and experiences. That is all.
Literacy in digital age. Modern literacy use emoji, hashtag, memes, learning thought, digital tools, and online platform promote collaboration and creativity. In example, Google Classroom, YouTube, ebooks.
In conclusions, literacy practices reading, writing, speaking, and technology, influenced by culture and changing society, helps people understand and express idea. To conclude, literacy practices are the different ways people use reading, writing, speaking, and technology in their everyday lives. They are influenced by culture, purpose, and society. From traditional reading, writing to modern digital communications, literacy remains essential for human connections and understanding. It helps us think critically to express ourselves and participate in the global community. In today's world, to be literate means to be flexible, creative, and responsible in how we use information. Here's the quote: literacy is the power to understand, connect, and make difference. So let us remember, literacy is not just the ability to read and write, it is a power to understand, connect, and make difference in the world.